This is the next in the Patriot Minute series, The Ignorant American. I'm Grandpa Rick. We've all heard of the ugly American, the person who moves to another country and then complains and whines that his new land is not like home, not like America, that everyone around him needs to change. In fact, he often demands that the locals accommodate him and put up with his rudeness, flaunting his historical and cultural ignorance and arrogance. In doing that unabashedly, in fact. The ugly American is a stereotype, but like all stereotypes, built upon a certain degree of truth. I spent much of my life in foreign lands amid a variety of vastly different cultures and political systems. As abhorrent as the ugly American is to me, I think what's worse is the modern curse of the ignorant American. Our nation everywhere is being drawn and quartered by truly nefarious individuals, and mostly movements originating from among America's egotistical elites. And I'm sorry to say, these cultural Marxists of the woke variety are doing a lot of damage. Now, before you determine to dismiss me, consider the following. Since at least the 1960s, several once rock-solid traits of this stellar nation, characteristics that made America great to begin with, have been under full-bore assault. Topping this list, the prime goal of the radical feminist movement has been to attack the noble male and the virtuous female. With continual bombardment from the left, traditional masculinity is crumbling everywhere. Men and boys are under full assault by our institutions, particularly within academia. Toxic masculinity was added by the so-called progressives to this list of the most detestable characteristic traits of men, which include white supremacy, homophobia, sexism or chauvinism, bigotry, and of course the granddaddy of them all, racism. The numbers don't lie. Boys are doing far worse than girls in school, and women are graduating in far higher numbers than men from colleges and universities. Our children are being dumbed down and neutered, and in some cases, literally. And traditional discipline, which is essential for any institution that hopes to be effective, has been almost entirely discarded. Except, of course, for the once sacred principle of free speech. That's being cracked down on with Gestapo-like proficiency. Too many of our boys are being medicated out of their masculinity, especially their normal, rambunctious, and high-spirited natures. Gender-affirming surgery, which has to be one of the most detestable forms of child abuse, is being promoted seemingly everywhere and being protected by federal law. Our schools are no longer teaching reading, writing, arithmetic, as well as history, true history, and civics, and the absolutely essential Western civilization. We are being dumbed down for a purpose, and that is not going to bode well for America. And an America that's going to be challenged militarily by the People's Republic of China and others in the years ahead. Truly, we have functionally neutered an entire generation of young men at a time when they will be needed most. Worse, we've transformed our military into an LGBTQ plus social experiment in lunacy and depravity. The renowned Hoover Institute scholar Dr. Thomas Sowell said it best, I think. He said, quote, "Ours may become the first civilization destroyed not by the power of our enemies, but by the ignorance of our teachers and the dangerous nonsense they are teaching our children. In an age of artificial intelligence, we are creating artificial stupidity," unquote. Isaiah the prophet warned us long ago, quote, "My people have embraced captivity because they have no knowledge." Because we teach nothing, we know nothing, and that stands a strong chance of costing us everything. Worse, I think, the type of collectivist, relativist, secularist progressivism we are being slowly immersed in, the frog set to slow boil, is the most insidious in any of our history. These cultural Marxists are experts in commanding the language, humiliating the opposition, and inevitably ensuring America's shackling. They are creeping at us like demons in the night on multiple fronts, from without, but mostly from within. For example, we are being taught that the environment and the economy must all be made sustainable, by force if necessary, that we must move from a shareholder economy to a stakeholder economy, that the old ways are destroying the planet, and that only a radical new scientific command economy can possibly save us. Of course, the purpose of this new form of political economy is the transformation of the world. These are not only Barack Obama's words when he said, "We are but 5 days from the fundamental transformation of the United States of America," following his election. No, this was said a long time ago by a more important mastermind of totalitarian one-world government, none other than Karl Marx himself. His ideology, and it is a religion, or more accurately a cult, was centered from the beginning and precisely upon the transformation of the world into his twisted vision of collectivist totalitarian utopia. The concept of sustainable growth is a Marxist concept through and through. In fact, these are all Marxist ideals promoted by the left. And these tenets, though you may rarely hear modern proponents of massive nanny-state government call them such, but from Davos to the capitals of Europe to the deep state in Washington, D.C., to the universities, to the People's Republic of China, the media, Hollywood, and even big corporate America, and especially Wall Street and our major banks, they are all rushing to fashion a new economic model that will be forced upon all Americans and much of the rest of the world. And amazingly, they will get the majority of people to like it, to at least mouth the words like automatons with a forced smile saying, "It is good." Their words, in quoting them, "You will have nothing and you will like it." This was from a paper published by the World Economic Forum, which Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the organization in Davos, Switzerland, which we've referred to. So, how will they get everyone on board with their global scheme? That very model is being developed and implemented in communist China right now. It's called a social credit system. And the technology is now upon us to successfully pull off such an absolutist tyranny. But such a system cannot possibly hope to succeed, they believe, unless everyone, or nearly everyone, is placed under its command and control. A social credit system using a personal social credit score will reward cooperation, but will punish resistance. You will prosper if you comply, and they will tell you this. You will hear many supposedly positive reviews, with the reviewers rewarded accordingly. In the not-too-distant future, you will find that it is highly convenient, even profitable, to opt in, and a major pain in your pocketbook and your freedom of travel and social life if you resist. It is coming. In fact, the way it will be implemented has already been determined. I have it on good authority. If the left maintains control of the government following the coming national elections, this will be rolled out in stages. A passive-aggressive fascism, and eventually it will infect every institution, company, church, corporation on the planet. It will be the mark of the beast, a government-private sector alliance that will become progressively by littles brutally totalitarian. The slow boil, designed to keep people from bailing out until it's too late. The great American nanny state will grow increasingly powerful, with each American, with the exception of the elites who will be running the system, each American will find their lifestyle curtailed and traditional constitutional freedoms increasingly restricted. In fact, progressively by littles, the Constitution will be reinterpreted and eventually in day-to-day practice discarded altogether. You will have nothing and you will like it. We are being slowly immersed in a bath of malevolent compassion. Our men are being progressively emasculated and our females are being sexually and morally corrupted and compromised. An honest day's work is routinely ridiculed and embracing the government dole is widely encouraged. The traditional American male, a man who is rugged, individualist, and knight-errant, refusing to be a burden to his fellow citizens, who protects women and children, and who works hard and pays his own way, such men are more and more under attack, and thusly disappearing rapidly. Look at the numbers. The evidence is all around us. The LGBTQ plus crusade, along with the radical feminist agenda, and a host of other leftist-driven cults, have long since determined that to succeed, they must destroy the traditional bulwark of society, the noble male and the virtuous female, along with the traditional family. This purveyor of toxic masculinity is one of the worst accusations any man can have heaped upon his head these days. To accelerate this trend, male patriarchal virtues are being replaced with hyper-feminine traits and behaviors, particularly so-called compassion and tolerance. The problem is, and we are seeing the fruits of such error, untethered compassion is in practice toxically malevolent to families, to societies, but mostly all to individuals. Add to this the organized attack on traditional Americanism, upon a healthy American nationalistic love and loyalty to country. Traditional American cultural traits such as personal responsibility, merit-based promotion, hard work, and God-centered and God-grounded ideals all are being discarded and labeled as racist and white supremacist. We cannot continue to remain silent. Before it's too late, we must stand up for traditional Americanism, willing to fight for personal freedoms as contained in our sacred Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. This is very important, along with following the admonitions from Holy Writ. For the salvation of our nation, for peace and prosperity, but more so for the protection of the world, lacking the traditional American iconic ensign to peace, freedom, and prosperity, plus the military muscle to back it up, our world will not survive the coming days, especially considering the nefarious threat rushing at us from China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and their bought-off allies. Unfortunately, many of those allies are in this country. Several years ago, Arthur M. Schlesinger Jr. said, "Whatever the particular crimes of Europe, that continent is also the source, the unique source, of those liberating ideas of individual liberty, political democracy, the rule of law, human rights, and cultural freedom that constitute our most precious legacy and to most of the world today, which the most of the world today aspires," unquote. That's well said, but that declaration applies far more, however, to the United States. Yet today, too many voices are raising the clarion warning. In fact, few voices are raising the clarion warning. America is being commandeered by a cadre of cultural Marxists masquerading as social justice warriors. These are highly toxic individuals, and they are treacherous. America, open your eyes. This generation, this deconstruction, this decline by design has been going on for far too long with little or no pushback. Come on, my friends, wake up, please. I am certain you won't be getting this warning much longer. Those few Paul Reveres among us will soon be silenced. Lastly, I pray that the Lord bless you with the courage and faith you'll need in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Thank you for your time. I'm Grandpa Rick.